All right, folks, so we have started our recording for the week, and we are going to just jump right into it. Let me see if I can share my screen here, are going to take a quick peek at our Hyperdoc. And just a reminder for students, this is pretty much our main assignment for this quarter between, fall break and winter break. And this is, again, a lot of ongoing reflection. At this point, when you're working on your project, you really should be in the portion of the project where you are in action. So you're actually doing the project. And I'm sorry here, I'm struggling to mute somebody. Why isn't that working? Huh. All right. Well, weird. Okay. Anyways, we've got our Hyperdoc for the quarter. Again, this will be the main graded assignment for the quarter. And if we scroll on down here, you'll just see you really should be working on the project. So that is practicing the guitar, baking those cakes, building that doghouse, whatever it is. You really should be in that action step at this point. Last week we were obviously on break, and this week we are going to continue working on your project. We'll give you a break from your ongoing reflection, but we are going to ask you to jump back into your Tallow profile. For many of you, this will be something that you started when you were in ninth grade. This was an assignment for Pathways in ninth grade. However, many of you are transfer students and weren't here for Pathways last year, or for whatever reason, just struggled with the Tallow profile. So this may be new for some folks. This may be review. Either way, we're asking everybody to work on the Tallow profile, even if you already have one. And that will include some updating, and we'll touch base on that. But for the meantime, we're going to kind of just give a big overview, be it a refresher or an introduction, just to let people know what Tallow is, why we're doing it, and how to do it. So let me switch tabs here. Hopefully this is working here. So this is an example of a Tallow digital portfolio, and it's one that I made as if I were a student, just for an example. And think of it like a super digital resume, and it connects directly with colleges and workforce opportunities, scholarships, internships, all kind of cool stuff.
Michael, if I could just, Mr. Brand, if I could just intervene here real quick. Could you zoom in on that for us so that we could actually read the...
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Whoa, maybe not that far. Okay. So what we're looking at is this digital portfolio that is going to connect me to opportunities through colleges and opportunities through workforce as well, depending on what your pathway is. And it's very user-friendly, and we are asking all students to create this as sort of, we're not going to have this as a graded assignment for this semester, but moving into next semester, there will be a grade attached to this, be it a new portfolio altogether or simply an updated one. So what we are looking at here, when you first log into your account, I'm going to go ahead and sign out and show you what this sort of process looks like. You're going to go to app.tallow.com/login. I'll go ahead and pop that on Google Classroom for you. And if you have an option just to sign in with Google, but you've never signed in before, that's not going to help you. You need to go down and make sure you're clicking on the button that says sign up. Then when you get down there, you're going to say that you are a talented individual. Okay, this is one of the steps that students kind of get stuck on a little bit moving in. So basically, as a student version of your account, you're going to do that. If you're a teacher, you could do, I represent a K-12 school. Teachers should all have an admin or teacher account set up for them already. So they should be able to go to sign in with Google and simply use their D49 account. Students with an existing account can simply do sign in with Google if you made an account last year, and then click on your D49 account. So go back to sign up. So talented individual. Next, you're going to fill out all your information just as you would. That's all of these things. What we've run into on a lot of students' phones is that this CAPTCHA, which is the I'm not a robot type of thing, that is a security feature that a lot of websites use to make sure that basically you're not a bot signing up like a fake account, you're a real person. A lot of this doesn't show up on students' phones for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. So you may need to use a Chromebook. If you folks have access to Chromebooks, awesome. Go ahead and do this during class today. If you don't, try to do this for homework. You can definitely do this during a study hall or work on it at home. So this may or may not work on phones is what I'm saying. If it works on your phone, great, go for it. If it doesn't, you're gonna need to probably get a different device. So you fill all that out. If this piece does not appear on your phone, that's basically time to get a different device. So you'll fill that information out. You'll go ahead and hit sign up. And then I've already created my account. So I'm just gonna go back to sign in. And I've got my D49 teacher account, and then I used another email address to do a student account. And while that's loading up, what do we got in the chat here? Zoom in. Yep. Noted. Awesome. Okay. So I'm signed in as a student, and you can see here it says your profile is 100% complete. We are looking for this to be as complete as possible. However, for you to earn full points, we're looking this to be ballpark about 80%, and I'll explain why that is that there's a couple optional sections that will prevent you from getting to 100%. So if, let's say you got to 30% and you click on this, it'll give you a list of next steps to complete. So it's pretty user-friendly. Also, the first time you create your account, step by step, it's going to ask you career interests, location preferences. It's going to ask you a lot of these sections for your profile. And you just are going to kind of fill that out as you go. And then once you're through the initial setup, you'll be seeing this screen, and you'll see these sections that all have the little pencil on the paper. And that's where you can go in and fill out that section. So for career interests, all of you should have done UScience. If for some reason you don't have a UScience account, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link to get that activated. This is great. Okay. So you can see we've got career clusters, right? These big, so education and training, right? Within that cluster, you can see this is 0 out of 75. If we expand that, you can see then we've got subcategories, and then those subcategories can be expanded even further. So if I wanted to be an art teacher, right? Or if I was just interested in absolutely everything, you can see it's clicked everything in that subcategory, 59 out of 59. So think about some different career options. The UScience results may help inform this. So if you look at your career matches on UScience, you can go ahead and fill these in. If you, again, don't have access to that, shoot me an email. We'll get you set up with a UScience account. Or if you just know what you want to do, awesome. Pick some options of some different careers that you're interested in, and then you go down and you can hit save. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to, I guess I could just uncheck that. It doesn't matter. So for those of you who created an account last year, if there's been no change with your career interests or any of these other categories here, don't change anything. But again, you created this as a 9th grader during a pandemic. So things may have changed. Likely what you're interested in career-wise will change between 9th and 12th grade and between 12th grade and the time you're 30. So this is a platform that will come with you after high school. The average user age, I think, is something like 24 years old. And it does connect you with different job opportunities, internships, and I'm seeing something in the chat, and scholarships and colleges and all these type of things. So we would hope that you update it just to keep it current with what you're actually interested in. And as you go down, you can also see if you are going to college, different majors you might be interested in. You can also select different colleges you might be interested in. And if we go to next steps here, and we go to edit that, and yes, Michelle, I'll go ahead and pull up UScience here in a moment. What you can do is, so this is your pathway. If you say you're on a 4-year college pathway, awesome. If you're going directly into the workforce, excellent. Military, 2-year college, those are the main categories, right? Again, these can change. So, and sometimes I don't speak clearly. I got a little sinus thing going on. These are able to change. So let's just say you're going to college. We do track colleges, and at a college, you can start typing out. Let's see if it does the abbreviation. No. Let's see what comes up here. Boom, UCCS, right? And then your status, interested, applied, accepted by admissions, committed. You can basically get your whole sort of gamut of how involved with this college you are. And if I selected interested and then clicked share info, which I'm not going to do right now, but if I did do share info, what that does is it's going to share your contact information with the college. They have an admin account for Tallow, and then they can reach out to you directly with information about applications, basically getting you connected with the college. So it's pretty cool. So I've got a bunch of example colleges thrown on here, a bunch of art schools, all kind of fun stuff. And then for majors, this is where you'd select your majors. So art, recording arts, why not? Okay, so you got a whole bunch of different options for the colleges pieces. It looks a little bit different if you're going in through workforce or the other pieces. I don't want to wipe out my account here. I'm just going to leave that there for now, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And then you'll see those majors reflected here, those colleges reflected here. When we're talking about optional sections that will prevent you from getting to 100% complete, you've got the photo of yourself and as well the video of yourself. Some people just aren't comfortable putting that on here. That's fine, absolutely no problem. That will prevent you from getting to 100% complete, but this is not your grade for the assignment. This is just how complete your profile is. So if you hit 80% completion, you can still get full points on the assignment. So if you do want to put the photo of yourself on there, it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes doesn't work on the Chromebooks. Again, some of these features are funny on different devices. You may need to try different Chromebook or work on it at home or in a different computer lab. Or don't put it on there at all if you don't want to. Same thing with the interview video. Interview video is basically a recording version of this little bio down here where you've got, I think it's 255 characters. About 2-3 sentences that kind of just talk about yourself, what you're interested in, what you're, they give some examples down here. Just a really brief biography. You'll want to have that section filled out. And then the video piece could effectively be you just reading that off, just telling us a little bit about yourself. And this Tallow does not host video. So what you actually have to do is post a video on something like Google Drive or YouTube or any video hosting service, and then you paste the link to the video here. Or again, if you're not comfortable with it, don't worry about it. Badges is not a feature we're using at Vista, so don't worry about that. You'll list out any kind of hobbies, activities, extracurriculars, sports, music, whatever it may be. Work experience. Here you can get pretty creative. Again, if this is helping your family out, babysitting little brother or sister, or if you have a job, awesome. If you've had a job, put that down. But if you haven't properly held a job, again, you're in 10th grade, probably most of you haven't, that's fine. Put down something about how you're kind of helping out around the house. Any special accomplishments, awards you've won, drop those under here. Your education. This is another piece where there's an optional piece. If you're not comfortable with your GPA being posted on here, that's fine. Which actually, as a side note, this is not a social media platform. Although it has this sort of Facebook-ish kind of look to it, your peers don't look you up. The only connections that you make are going to be with teachers, counselors, and potentially colleges or workforce opportunities, but it's not like you can look up your friend or anything like that. But still, that said, if you don't want to put your GPA, or if you don't have test scores, maybe some of you have taken the SAT somehow, but probably not. Don't put those on. Those are optional sections. Again, that'll keep that completion down a little bit, but don't worry about it. Highlighted courses is where you're going to put courses on that you've done really well or that you just particularly enjoy. And you'll add your school and you'll add Vista. All that's pretty straightforward. or if you're attending homeschool, but if you're hearing me right now, you're probably not. And then you can add your courses here, and you'll have to have that school selected first. Most courses are going to be not weighted, but if you are taking AP courses or um, college prep, they don't have concurrent enrollment here specifically listed, but dual credit is a pretty much the same thing, almost a different phrasing for that. So, and then you can put the grade you got, and then the year that you took it. So add on just a selection of different courses that you're proud of. Again, if you're updating this, add on some things from 10th grade. If you speak languages other than English, or I guess you could put English on there, but if you are studying ASL or Spanish, or happen to have a different home language, definitely add those on there. And then at the bottom section is the file section, and this is what we're going to want to have you update. We're asking here, if we look at the Hyperdoc, for those of you who had an existing profile, add a project or assignment from each of your 10th grade classes. So this is the section where, ultimately you'll have a resume we'll work on later on in the year. If you click on this plus sign, if you're on a non-Chromebook and you just have regular files like on the hard drive, you can choose files and upload. And for the most part, if it's those assignments, you can choose project or other. Or you can choose from Google Drive. It's going to ask you to allow permissions to do so. Well, usually it does. And then it'll give you all these Google Drive files. And you can just link them on there. You need to make sure that your share settings are set to public for those. That's something I can show you real quick here with the Hyperdoc, for example. Each file that you link on there, you need to share. On the share button, you need to go down to the bottom here where it says restricted, and you need at least it to show not restricted, but at least El Paso County School District 49, so that your teachers and myself can view those files. Or if you really plan on sharing this out into the world with colleges and workforce, and again, maybe you're not quite ready for that in 10th grade, but you'll need to have that set to anyone with link. So that's a critical step. I'll show that once more. Click the share button, go down to where it's set to this section and change, and have it at least set to that. It's going to probably default to restricted and no one can see it except for yourself. So set it to at least El Paso County, Colorado School District 49, or anyone with a link if you're ready to go full public on it. Okay, so at that point, that's pretty much it for the Tallo profile. We can jump into U-Science here briefly for, I've got Miss Shell in the chat saying most of the students did not complete U-Science, and can we kind of go over that again? And I am happy to do so. Are there any questions about Tallo before we sort of shift gears a little bit into U-Science? Okay, gotta love that awkward wait time. I'm going to go ahead and jump on in here. If questions do come up, feel free to drop those in the chat. And I'll also try to visit as many classrooms in person as possible here this morning. If there's anybody particularly that would like me to drop by who's got something urgent that needs to be addressed in person, please go ahead and drop that in the chat as well. I have trouble getting to my email when I'm running around in the morning, and sometimes I miss out on getting to some of those classrooms that are of higher priority. So, okay, I'm going to drop the link for Tallo and U-Science into the stream on Google Classroom, so everyone can go directly to those. Once I sign off, I'll get those set up immediately. But at login.uscience.com, you are going to go, and if you are a transfer student and you weren't here last year, please email me at mbrandt@d49.org. I'll put that email in the stream post as well. And just say, hey, I'm new to Vista and I'd like a U-Science account link. I'll have to go ahead and manually create you a link, and you'll get a notification in your email, and I'll try to get through those. If I get those this morning, I'll try to get through those by the end of the day. If you attended Vista last year, whether or not you ever logged into UScience, you do have a UScience account. And what you need to do is go to login.uscience.com, and you need to click on Forgot Your Password. Even if you never made a password, you have to click on Forgot Your Password. And in fact, even if you did log in and do your UScience and you just want to go back in and look at it, I'm pretty sure they make you reset your password once a year. So you're likely, pretty much everybody should click on Forgot Your Password. Go through, enter in your D49 email account, and hit continue. And you're going to get a link in your email account. You'll have to open up your email account and follow the instructions. There'll be like an activation link there that's going to prompt you to make a new password. That new password has to be fairly complex. So I think it has to be at least 8 characters long. It has to have a capital letter, a number, special character. It's got to be a complicated password. I'll put some of the parameters for that in the stream post as well shortly. But I've got my account ready to go, so I'm just going to log in. Everybody else, forget your password. Okay, so you're going to see a couple things on my screen that you won't see, like these top 3 buttons. You're not going to see those. Don't worry about those. You're going to see everything here that you're seeing if it's complete, right? And if it's complete, you click on Best Fit Careers. And these are my personal results. And so I guess I always skip over the why. UScience is a career and aptitude exploration tool. And so if you haven't done it, it's basically about 90 minutes worth of little brain games. You don't have to do it all in one sitting, but every game has to be done in one sitting. So they're like 5 to 7 minutes long. You can't like pause in the middle of it, but you can check off a couple off the list, leave it, and then come back. It has to be done on a computer with a keyboard as well. It cannot be done on a touchscreen device. So what we're looking at here is basically career fit. So we've got our overall fit. Right now, this is taking into account how I did on these little aptitude tests and also my interest survey results. So there was a survey component and the brain games component. And right now, overall fit is combining those. So it's showing me careers that I might be good at that I also have expressed interest in similar type tasks, right? You can switch over to Aptitude Fit, which I think is pretty cool. This, based off of how you did on the brain games, recommends things that you might be good at, but you might not have even considered or even known about. I don't know what a photonics engineer is. I've never considered that, but apparently I might be good at it. And then you can also switch over to Interest Fit, which is going to only take the interest survey results into account. And that is going to basically show you things that you probably would like to do, but may or may not be good at. Let's go ahead and switch back to, let's go back to Aptitude Fit, and let's just pick Biomed Engineer. If I click on View Career, what it's going to do is give me examples of just a description of what a day in the life would look like, core tasks that you'd be doing over and over, and you can kind of rifle through those. And then here we got the Aptitude Fit, and this is what is pretty interesting. So what you can see is in the white bubbles are the aptitudes required for the career, and then the orange dots are my aptitudes and how they align. And since this was a career based off of Aptitude Fit when I was in that main screen there, you can see that those orange dots are pretty much hitting the targets of those white circles, right? Now, if we come down to interest match, you can see that my interests are not necessarily aligned with this based off of the interest survey portion of UScience, right? Now, if we pop back and let's switch over to Interest Fit, we can see dentist. Okay, maybe. Hadn't considered it, but we got the same kind of breakdown overview of the career. And if we go to aptitudes now, some of them are kind of in line. some not so much. So for example, let's see which one this was. Hand-eye coordination. Apparently my hand-eye coordination doesn't quite fit what you want to have to be a dentist, so maybe you wouldn't want me operating power tools in your head. So good to know. But then if we look down into the interest match, oh, that's weird. Yeah, kind of smattering on that. So interesting. So U-Science is a good tool to kind of explore different options. And then if we back out too, there's also a way where you can explore your aptitudes. Let's go here. And the aptitudes, like when you do U-Science, it's not like the SAT that lets you know like how proficient you are in math or language skills. It's kind of showing off what your specific types of strengths are. And they ask that students do this kind of starting in 9th grade, but if you do it in 10th grade, that's fine. Pretty much they say that after you're 14 years old and you do this, your aptitudes don't shift an awful lot, so that you wouldn't really want to take it again. And in fact, taking it again might bias your results because you kind of get a chance to sort of practice, and I'm not entirely sure, but that's kind of how they explain it. However, your interest likely will change over time, and so you can reopen the interest section and redo that if that's something you want to do. And that will influence your overall results and your interest matches as well. And so under my aptitudes here, you can kind of see idea generation, I think on my feet, inductive reasoning. So it's basically kind of showing off some of the stronger aptitudes from my results. I'm rocking it with the vocabulary, magnanimous. Here, it's letting me know that I'm a specialist and an extrovert. It's got me in the upper right-hand corner, kind of about your work approach and interpersonal style. Types of work that interest you: artistic. I taught art for 10 years, so hey, spot on. Enterprising, investigative. And then there are these amplifiers. So there's some additional tests that weren't part of the core aptitude tests that you can do that will give you a little bit more. If you think back to the orange dots there, some of those are just going to be blank if you just do the core aptitude assessments. And down here under the aptitudes tab is where you can find the additional assessments there. I've got students already emailing me about U-Science accounts. Very good. And then there's a lot of kind of different features in here you can play around with. So describing you is a great section. If you were putting together a resume, you can come in here and borrow from some of these tools. I wouldn't copy and paste these phrases into a resume, but you can kind of paraphrase these types of items into a resume, because we're going into a work environment, people are going to want to know about these things, right? So yeah, really fantastic tool. Again, if you need to get in here, click on that forgot password piece, whether or not you've had an account. With the exception of transfer students, you won't have an account. You're going to have to get an activation link from me. I'm happy to send those out if you shoot me an email. Again, this can't be done on a touchscreen device, so a tablet or a phone is not going to work. You need a keyboard, but it will work on a Chromebook. Again, if just like with Tallow, if you guys have access to Chromebooks right now, go ahead and get them out. Jump right into U-Science, jump right into Tallow. We're going to be working on a Tallow profile for the next couple of weeks, as well as kind of keeping that project going with the action step for your passion project. And yeah, that is about it. I guess at this point, open up for questions. Again, if there's some urgent face-to-face needing for troubleshooting or something like that in a classroom, please pop that in the chat, or at this point, feel free to unmute. And yeah, thanks for your attention.